It means not dividend. It refers to a kind of the profit. Dividends in Nepali, we call it as a labhamsa banchuan. So what is the dividend and why the dividends are provided by the company, and what are the basic norms and values and rules to keep the dividend by the company, and what is the mechanism to decide to distribute the dividend in the company to its shareholders. So that's why dividend is a distributed portion and profit of a company which is given to its shareholder. Company को शेयरहोल्डरलाई company profit बापतको मुनाफा, that is the लाभांश भन्छौँ हामी. त्यो मुनाफा भनेको लाभांश हो, त्यसलाई हामी the dividend भन्छौँ. That's why dividend is a kind of the profit of the company. It is provided to its shareholders. So yes, from its original meaning, yes, that all dividend comes from the Latin all dividend term. It was derived from the Latin all dividend term. It refers to things divided. The things divide the things to be divided to its shareholder, that we call as a dividend. So it is derived from the Latin or dividend, which refers to the things to be divided. That is the concept of the dividend. So yes, the dividend is the payment of a company's profit to its shareholder out of its distributable profit. Definitely, it is a distributable profit of the company. It is distributed to its shareholders out of the net worth and net profit of the company. So it is distributed to its shareholder out of the net worth profit. Company ko whole net worth profit, the buy ko jati profit out of the net worth profit, that is distributed, which is distributable and which is distributed to its shareholder, that is a dividend. So yes, dividend may be in the form of a cash or non-cash. Maybe sometimes dividend is provided and given in a cash or non-cash form. Non-cash refers to a kind of stock. If the bonus share is given, that is a non-cash. So there is a two forms of the dividend. When it's a cash form, and sometimes another one is a non-cash. Non-cash refers to the bonus share. If the company provides as a dividend to its shareholder as a bonus share, that is a non-cash. Bonus share the company dine गर्दछ भने त्यसलाई हामी non-cash भन्छौँ. So the dividend, yes, it is given by deciding the company's board member. The meeting of the BOD. Company को BOD को meeting ले लाभांश वितरण गर्ने सम्बन्धमा निर्णय गर्न सक्छ. Yes, the BOD decides to distribute the dividend in the company. कम्पनीमा लाभांश वितरण गर्ने निर्णय चाहिँ कम्पनीको सञ्चालक समितिको बैठकले निर्णय गर्दछ. So that's why the decision is the functioning decision is made by the board of directors meeting. The decision is made by the board of directors meeting to distribute the dividends to its shareholder. So that is the concept of dividends. So that's why in simple word, dividends is a profit which is distributed to its shareholder. So that's why dividend is a kind of the profit of the company, which is given to a shareholder in a cash and sometimes in a non-cash. Non-cash refers to bonus share. As to the dividend, if the bonus share is distributed, that we call as a non-cash. That's why as cash and non-cash is the difference is there. So cash money as money they provide as a cash, money is provided, and non-cash is that the bonus share is provided. And bonus, if the bonus share is given, that we call as a non-cash. That is the dividend. So yes, dividend is the distribution of some of the companies. Yes, it is distribution of some of the company's earning to its shareholders, and it is determined by the company's board of directors. Yes, the rate of the dividend and the way of the payment of the dividend, these are decided by the company's board of directors meeting. So that's why the dividend is determined by the company's board of directors meeting. Charlie, the company's board of directors meeting decides to provide the dividend to its shareholder of a company. That's why, yes, the dividends are payment made by the public listed company. Charlie, the publicly listed companies are distributing the dividends to its shareholder. Charlie, publicly is as a listed companies. It means that the public companies are distributing dividends to its shareholder that we call as dividends. That's why, yes, dividends are generally, it has to be paid out to its shareholder as a profit of the company. So that's why it is about profit out, yes, out of its net worth profit of a company. Company ko whole net worth profit ko out of money that we call as a profit of the company. And as a profit of the company, if the dividend is distributed to the shareholder, yes, that we call as a dividend. So dividend. Yes, maybe the nature of dividend is a cash and non-cash can be the nature. So that is a there is the nature is the nature of the dividend is a cash and non-cash can be there. Non-cash cash nature of dividend. Yes, it is distributed. Yes, dividend is a distribution. It's a kind of the distribution of the profit by the corporation to the amount as of the per share. Yes, it is calculated. It is calculated on the basis of in accordance to the per share of the capital, which is owned by its shareholder in the company. That's the dividend is allocated as a fixed price, fixed amount of the rate of the per share with the shareholder receives as dividends. Yes, that's why dividends are calculated and it is allocated as per and in accordance with the share owned by the shareholder in a company. So that's why it is calculated in a proportionally calculated. It is calculated in a professional manner. So that's why the per share dividends are given. So it is calculated by the per share which is owned by its shareholder in the company. जति पर शेयर त्यसको शेयरहरुले ओन गरेको छ त्यसको आधारमा dividends are generally they are calculated. In this way, dividends are calculated in the company. Now, there are certain features of the dividend. Yes, dividends feature is that the dividend is the distribution of some of the company's earning as class of shareholders. Yes, it is a distribution of a company's profit to its shareholder as a net as outside of the net profit of the company. So that's why dividend, I say, the dividend is a distribution of the sum of the company's earning. Simple word is distribution of the company's earning. So that's why there is a company elects and distributes dividends easily both the date and amount of the determined quarterly basis or sometimes as quarterly or sometimes in a year. So that's why dividends are, there is fixed date and fixed date of the dividend is there. So dividends distribution is fixed date is there and the fixed rate of the dividend can be there because sometimes dividends are distributed in between of the two annual general meetings. That is quarterly. Quarterly is within a 6 months. If the company provides the dividends within a 6 months in between of the two general meeting of the company, two annual general meeting of the company, because in every year the company should have to hold its annual general meeting. If the company distributes its dividends in between by holding the extraordinary general meeting or special general meeting, विशेष साधारण सभा कल गरेर कम्पनीले डिभिडेन्ड कहिलेकाहीँ लाभांश वितरण गर्न सक्छ in between of the two annual general meetings means that it refers to the within a 6 months if the dividends are distributed to its shareholder. Yes, to that we call as a concept of quarterly distribution of the dividend, quarterly basis distribution of the dividend. So in between भनेको 6 महिनामा कहिलेकाहीँ generally dividend चाहिँ साधारण सभाले निर्णय गरिन्छ र 6 महिनामा कम्पनीले विशेष साधारण सभा बोलाएर बोर्ड अफ डाइरेक्टर निर्णय गर्यो भने बोर्डले निर्णय गरेर डिभिडेन्डहरु वितरण गर्न सक्छ. Yes, quarterly basis or the yearly basis dividends are generally distributed to its shareholder that we call as a dividend. So in a simple word, dividends are generally distributed. There is certain ways because in every year or every year if the company is in profit, company profit नभएको बेलामा dividend दिनै पर्छ भन्ने छैन because some shareholder may claim over the dividend but some shareholder may have a reservation over it. केही shareholder सँग reservation हुन सक्छ. Every year company मुनाफामा भएकै बेलामा हामी किन dividend वितरण गर्ने because the company we have established just 2 years before or 3 years before or 4 years before, it is not get so much of maturity of its regulation and its operation. So that's why we have to provide some time to get more maturity to the company. So that's why there should be, we have to keep the money for the backup. Maybe the next year company can be in a loss at the time. So we have to keep that money as a backup, as a retained earning. So that's why every year, if the company is in profit, it's now necessary to distribute the dividend. Company प्रत्येक वर्ष नाफामा छ भन्ने बेलामा डिभिडेन्ड वितरण गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने छैन. कम्पनीको म्याच्युरिटी हेरेर, कम्पनीको सिचुएसन हेरेर र कम्पनीको बिजनेस हेरेर, त्यसको टर्नओभर हेरेर यस रिटेन अर्निङको रूपमा पनि त्यो लाभांश वितरण नगरेर त्यसलाई सञ्चित जगेडामा राखेर कुनै वर्ष डिभिडेन्ड लाभांश दिन सक्छ. So that's why the dividend is not such kinds of as a compulsory provision which should have to be compulsory distributed by the company to its shareholder. यसको शेयरहोल्डरले कम्पनीको शेयरहोल्डरले कम्पनीले अनिवार्य रूपमा डिभिडेन्ड दिनुपर्ने विषय चाहिँ होइन. So that's why it is distributed. It has to be decided by the board of directors meeting, and it is distributed to the general shareholder as a profit of the company. अब कम्पनीको नेटवर्क भन्दा राम्रो साउन्ड अवस्थामा कम्पनी छ भने त्यस्तो अवस्थामा मात्रै लाभांशहरू दिने गर्छ. That we call as a dividend. So that's why every year dividend दिनुपर्छ भन्ने विषय चाहिँ होइन. It's not internally in practice. So that's why yes, the cash and non-cash, a different nature of the dividend is there. Cash and non-cash. Cash refers to yes, as a dividend, the amount of money, certain portion of the amount of money it is given, that we call as a cash dividend. Cash dividend refers to if the money is given, that is cash dividend. As the dividend, if the non-cash nature is the share, it means that it is a share refers to the bonus share. The bonus share is given to its existing shareholder or the shareholder of the company, that we call as a non-cash. So that's why cash and non-cash nature is there. So cash, if the money is given, there is a cash dividend. If the money is not given, but the company provides the bonus share, that is the non-cash, the second one. And final and interim dividend. Final and interim dividends refers to yes, final dividend after the whole calculation of the balance sheet of the company's loss and profit within a year. Because generally the auditor prepares the report within a year. Within a yearly financial report are generally prepared by the auditor. So auditor prepares the yearly financial report. So in this financial report, whole transaction, loss and profit, everything comes there. So that's why as the final refers to after the finalization of the whole loss and profit, after the preparation of the audit report by the auditor, if the company provides the dividend, that we call as a final dividend. So that's why after preparation and finalization of the audit report, after the audit report, it is called as a final dividend. Final dividend भनेको audit report आइसकेपछि whole अन्तिम balance sheet आइसकेपछि यस अन्तिममा आर्थिक वर्षमा प्रत्येक वर्ष अडिट गर्नुपर्छ कम्पनीको. सो अडिट पछि आएको रिपोर्टको आधारमा डिभिडेन्ड वितरण गर्छ भने that is the final dividend. And interim dividend as a quarterly it is distributed. Interim dividends refers to as in between two annual general meeting as an interim dividend as if the company gives the interim dividends, that we call an interim dividend. So विशेष साधारण सभा बोलाएर कम्पनीको बोर्डको बैठक साधारण सभाले निर्णय गरिसकेपछि बोर्ड बैठकले निर्णय गरेर 6 महिनामा कम्पनीको प्रॉफिट, कम्पनी इज इन साउन्ड सिचुएसन, कम्पनी एकदम साउन्ड म्यानरमा चलिरहेको छ, कम्पनी राम्रो छ भने त्यस्तो अवस्थामा interim dividend दिन सक्छ. यो चाहिँ quarterly 6 monthsमा दिन्छ. So that's why if the dividend is distributed as a dividend where any dividend paid between the two annual general meeting, that is the interim dividend. And final dividend refers to as after the finalization of the balance sheet of the company in an annual general meeting, if the dividend is given, that we call as a final dividend. अब प्रत्येक आर्थिक वर्षमा गरिने अडिट रिपोर्टको सम्पूर्ण रिपोर्ट हेरिसकेपछि एक वर्ष पछाडि दिइन्छ भने त्यसलाई हामी interim dividend, final dividend भन्छौं. र within 6 monthsमा कम्पनीले लाभांश वितरण गर्छ भने that we call as interim dividend. And next one is fixed and variable dividend. Fixed and variable refers to yes, the dividend which is fixed generally as a preference shareholder in the company. Generally their dividend rate is fixed. To the preference shareholder, there are generally two types of the shareholder in a company. First one is equity shareholders. Next is preference shareholders. So generally in a cumulative preference shareholder, the cumulative preference shareholders dividend rate is always fixed. So that's why fixed dividend refers to the company should have to be provided to the dividend rate of the cumulative preference shareholder. So if the company provides the fixed rate of the interest, fixed rate of the dividend to the cumulative preference shareholders, that is a fixed dividend. Cumulative preference shareholder को dividend लाभांश चाहिँ fixed हुन्छ, always, that is a fixed. So that's why if the company provides that the fixed rate of the dividend, that is a fixed dividend, and accept cumulative preference shareholders. Accept cumulative preference shareholders share capital, every share capital of the company. It depends, it is variable and it depends on the per share. You say per share मा निर्धारण हुन्छ, you say variable. इसलिए लाभांश प्रत्येक वर्ष यति नै हुन्छ भन्ने छैन. It can be the fluctuating. So only the dividend is fixed in a cumulative preference shareholder. Cumulative preference shareholder को मात्रै यसको dividend rate fixed हुन्छ, त्यसलाई हामी fixed dividend भन्छौं. And accept the cumulative preference shareholder, they almost all of the all the shareholders of the equity shareholder of a company, they have the fluctuating and variable dividend. तिनीहरुको चाहिँ cumulative preference shareholder भन्दा बाहेकको अन्य shareholder को चाहिँ सबै flexible हुन्छ, सबै variable हुन्छ, सबै fluctuating हुन्छ भने that we call as variable dividend. So that's why fixed and variable dividend. And finally, interim dividend, cash and non-cash nature. These are the different types of the dividend we could see. And we can categorize to the types of the dividend in this way as well. As cash, stock, asset, special, common, and preferred dividend. Such kinds of dividends can be also provided and distributed by the company. Cash refers to, yes, the company, if the company pays, this is the payment of the actual cash from the company's directly to its company, directly to its shareholder. That is a cash payment. It is an actual payment. It is paid out in a cash. That is a cash dividend. And a stock dividend, if the company does not provide the cash, but company gives the share capital as a bonus share of the company, that is a stock dividend. A stock dividend is, yes, stock dividend, it shall be clear that if the stock dividend are paid out to its shareholder by issuing the new shares in the company as a bonus share, that we call as a stock dividend. Stock dividend भनेको कम्पनीको लाभांश बापतको कम्पनीको कर्मचारीलाई बोनस शेयर दिन्छ भने that we call as a stock dividend. Second one. And third one is asset. Yes, if the company is in profit, the dividend should have to be given to the, it is decided by the board of directors meeting. And if the company keeps the and real estate, any property, that is the asset dividend. लाभांश बापतको कुनै property दिन्छ. For example, there may be the real estate or the land in the name of a company. There may be the numbers of the property in the name of the company. As a dividend to its shareholder, if the company provides, if the company gives the asset, that we call as asset dividend. Asset भनेको कुनै real estate landहरु दिने गर्छ shareholder. That is the asset dividend. That's why cash, non-cash. Sometimes the company can provide asset or any property. Maybe the real estate, maybe the house and land, कुनै जग्गा, real estate property दिन सक्छ. That we call it asset dividend. As a asset dividend of the company, as a profit of the company. If the company provides the land or asset, that we call as an asset dividend. Third one. And fourth one is special dividend. Special dividend refers to, yes, it is given, it is paid out that at the outside of the company's regular policy. Special refers to company is in a sound manner, company is good, company एकदम sound मा छ भने त्यस्तो अवस्थामा, yes, it is provided outside of the regular policy. Because the policy of the company, yes, dividend is generally, it is given and provided by the company. But if the company is in profit, company is in sound manner, yes, at the time, the company's board of directors meeting decides that, yes, company, we should have to distribute the dividend to our shareholder. If it is decided by this board of directors meeting at the time, if the dividend is given outside the regular policy of the company, as a special dividend is given to its shareholder. विशेष लाभांशको रूपमा कम्पनीको सामान्य नियम भन्दा बाहिर गएर कहिलेकाहीँ निर्णय गरेर डिभिडेन्ड लाभांश वितरण गर्छ भने that we call as a special dividend. But special dividends are generally given in a very little and few practices are there. Company एकदम राम्रो छ, company sound manner मा छ भने त्यस्तो अवस्थामा मात्रै special dividendहरु दिइन्छ. So that's why special dividends are given to a shareholder as the outside of the its regular policy. So our company को regular policy भन्दा outside कुरा हो. कहिलेकाहीँ विशेष निर्णय गरेर दिने गर्दछ है. That is the special dividend. And common dividend is that another one. Common dividend is a simple word, and this is the dividend. It is given to its shareholder as a regular policy of the company. Common dividend भनेको regular policy भित्रकै dividend हो. That we call as a quarterly, as a annually, if the dividends are distributed. So it is a common in nature. So it comes under the regular policies of the company. If the dividends are distributed within the regular policies of the company, that we call as a common dividend. Common dividend भनेको companyको regular policy भित्रको dividend. And the last preferred is that, yes, preferred is a kind of the preferred dividend is that, yes, this is some money invested by investor in the company, and they have the right to, and they have relinquished to claim over the, they are relinquished and to claim over the dividend of a company. Company मा आफूले इन्भेस्ट गरे बापतको डिभिडेन्ड लाभांशमाथि त क्लेम गर्न पाइन्छ. So that's why that is a preferred dividend. So this is also referred to the class of the shareholders receiving of payment. They have right to receive the payment. That is a preferred dividend. Preferred dividend refers to they have the right to claim over it. Because as an investor, company is in profit. Yes, they have the right to claim over to the dividend. As an investor group, company मुनाफामा छ, प्रॉफिटमा छ भने त्यस्तो अवस्थामा they have the right to claim over the dividend. उनीले डिभिडेन्ड लाभांशमाथि क्लेम गर्ने अधिकार राख्दछ. त्यसलाई हामी preferred dividend भन्छौँ. So that's why if the dividend is given, so there is no more differences between the common dividend and the preferred dividend. So if the company provides the company gives the dividend within the regular policies of the company, that we call as a preferred and the common dividend. त्यसलाई नै हामी preferred common dividend भन्छौँ. Regular policy भित्रको विषय हो. So every shareholder have the right to claim and relative relinquish over the dividends of the company. Company को dividend माथि claim गर्ने अधिकार चाहिँ उनीहरुलाई हुन्छ. But there is a reservation can be there. But in every year company is in profit, it's now necessary to provide the dividend. Company को आफ्नो पोलिसी हुन्छ. त्यसैले प्रत्येक वर्ष मुनाफामा हुने बित्तिकै company को dividend वितरण गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने चाहिँ, because the company requires to get more maturity. Company लाई more mature बनाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ. Company मुनाफामा भएकै वर्ष वितरण गर्यो भने, for example, next year the company maybe went into insolvent or the loss. Next year मा loss हुन सक्छ, insolvent मा जान सक्छ. The time the risk factor कसले बहन गर्छ. So that's why the retained earning मा त्यति बेला राख्छ. Yes, the profit of the company by not distributing, not providing the dividend to its shareholder, the profit is kept in a retained earning. कहिलेकाहीँ company के भन्छ, what happened in the practice, generally practice मा चाहिँ company को profit बापतको, नाफा बापतको, मुनाफा बापतको लाभांश शेयरहोल्डरलाई वितरण नगरेर त्यो सञ्चित जगेडाको रूपमा एज अ ब्याकअप को रूपमा कम्पनीको रिटेन अर्निङ, त्यसलाई हामी सञ्चित जगेडा रकम भन्छौँ नेपालीमा, त्यो रिटेन अर्निङमा राख्ने गरिन्छ. What purpose? The purpose is that because its purpose is that for the backup money को backup को लागि र company को maturity को लागि कहिलेकाहीँ retain earning मा राख्न सक्छ. So that's why as a profit, as a more than the money out of the net worth capital of the company, if it is kept, it is reserved in a retained earning that we call as a अंकित मूल्य भन्छौँ. त्यो प्रॉफिट बापतको लाभांश वितरण नगरेर रिटेन अर्निङ मा पनि राख्ने गरिन्छ for the maturity of the company. Company को maturity र backup को लागि. Okay, so in the next year and by making a decision by the board of directors, they could also distribute in a subsequent year. त्यसपछि फेरि अर्को वर्ष पनि मुनाफा छ, company sound छ, there is no mitigating any risk factor in the company. कुनै mitigated risk factor नहुन सक्छ. They do not see any mitigated risk factor in the company, and the subsequent year मा पनि राम्रै हुन्छ भने त्यस्तो अवस्थामा चाहिँ अब डिसाइड गरेर कम्पनीको बोर्ड बैठकले निर्णय गरेर लाभांशहरु वितरण गर्न सक्छ. So there is the policy. So that's why as a backup मा retain earning मा चाहिँ डिभिडेन्डहरु राख्ने गर्दछ. Now we'll see to the dividend. Yes, there is the different types of the dividend. Is there types of the dividend? Yes, cash dividend. As cash is given, money is given as cash dividend, that is cash dividend, and scrip dividend. Scrip dividend refers to it is a written commitment. Scrip dividend refers to it is a written commitment. It is given by the company. Scrip dividend is a yes, we'll provide our shareholders a dividend in the next year or subsequent year. That is scrip dividend. It's a written commitment of a company to provide the dividend in a subsequent coming years or subsequent year. In future मा dividend दिन्छु भनेर गरिने written commitment लाई हामी scrip dividend भन्छौँ. It is a written commitment given by the company to its shareholder, and they have committed, and company have committed to them. Company has committed to them to provide the dividend in a future or subsequent year. That is a scrip dividend. So that's why it is a kind of agreement, a kind of commitment, a written commitment by the company, a kind of the written acknowledgement of a company to its shareholder. That is a scrip dividend. And next is bond dividend. Bond is a kind of bond, and bond dividend is kind of long. Bond dividend is given to its shareholder. Stock dividend, they provide this share capital to the company. That is a stock dividend. Property dividend, asset is provided, that we call as property dividend. And liquidating dividend is there. Liquidating dividend refers to during the time of a winding off of the company. During the time of winding off of the company, if the dividend is given, that we call as a liquidating dividend. So shareholders have no right to claim over the dividend prior to the liquidation, prior to the termination of the company. Termination ma pathaunu bhanda agadi dividend claim गर्ने अधिकार है. So if the dividend is given and provided during the time of liquidation or the winding off of the company, that we call as a liquidating dividend. So that's why liquidating dividend भनेको yes, the company provides the dividend during the time of winding up of the company. That is a liquidating dividend. Company liquidation मा जाने बेलामा चाहिँ जसरी मुनाफा लाभांशहरु वितरण गरिन्छ, that we call as a liquidating dividend. So that's why cash dividend, scrip dividends, and bond dividend, and liquidating dividend, stock dividend, asset dividend, or the property dividend, different types of the dividend are here. So bond dividend is simple word. Bond dividend are similar to the scrip dividend, but the only difference is that they carry longer maturity period and the account bears the interest. So in the bond dividend, there is an interest and a long maturity. Long time is there because as the dividend company provides the bonds and there is an interest. As a dividend, but with interest, by adding the interest, company provides the dividend. That is a bond dividend. So bond dividend, it carries the now, it takes long time. It carries the longer maturity period of the time and with the interest rate is done. So that's like bond ma चाहिँ interest पनि हुन्छ, dividend बापतको bond दिन्छ, and to bond ma चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने with interest. By adding the interest, company provides the bond to the shareholder. That is a bond dividend. So bond dividend is a kind of the commitment of the company, a type of the scrip dividend, just a form of the a kind of the written commitment given by the company. It's similar to the scrip dividend, but bond ma चाहिँ with interest. By adding the interest, if the dividend is given to a shareholder, that is a bond dividend. Company profit मा छ, अहिले लाभांश दिन सकेन र पछिल्लो आर्थिक वर्षहरुमा with interest हामी dividend दिन्छौं, लाभांश वितरण गर्छौं भनेर कमिटमेन्ट गरिन्छ भने that is called as a bond dividend. So bond, there is always interest is added. That's an interest added गरेका. So that's why these are the different types of the dividend. So stock dividend, property dividend, and liquidating dividend, bond dividend, these are different types of dividends are here. So liquidating refers to company winding up मा जाने बेलामा चाहिँ dividendहरु वितरण गरिन्छ, that is liquidating dividend. Property as asset, cash and non-cash, no cash and non-cash, but only the concept comes there, only the question comes there, asset and property of the company is given, that we call as a property dividend. Company को सम्पत्तिहरु as a dividend को रूपमा दिन्छ भने त्यसलाई हामी property dividend भन्छौं. Now, yes, different types of dividend we can analyze in this way. We can categorize in this way. Yes, types of the dividend: cash dividend, bonus dividend, share dividend, property dividend, and there is a liquidating dividend and the scrip dividend. These are the different types of the dividend are. लाभांशको नि विभिन्न प्रकृतिहरु छ. क्याशमा दिन्छ लाभांश, नन क्याशमा एज अ बोनस शेयर दिन्छ, that is नन क्याश हो, एज स्टकमा. प्रपर्टी भने कम्पनीको लाभांश बापत रियल एस्टेट कसैलाई कुनै प्रपर्टीहरु दिन्छ भने that is a real estate or the property dividend. Scrip dividend, a kind of commitment given by the company to its shareholder, that we call as a scrip dividend. Liquidating dividend, if the dividends are only during the time of liquidation of the that is liquidating. Winding up मा जाने बेलामा चाहिँ वितरण गर्छ भने त्यसलाई There's different steps of the distribution of the dividend. लाभांश वितरण गर्ने विभिन्न स्टेप्सहरु छ. There's certain procedures they have to add. Yes, if the company is in profit and company generates the profit and retained earning is there, सञ्चित रकम जगेरा रकम retained earning र profit छ भने त्यस्तो अवस्थामा dividends are distributed by the company. So that's why company must pay in profit more than 3 consecutive year, more than 3 consecutive year, or the 5 years, or the 10 years continuously, company are generating the profit. If the company is generating the profit every year, at the time, yes, dividend can be distributed and it is generally given to its shareholder. So that's why continuous progress of the company, continuous profit of the company, continuous generation of the profit and retained earning, it is first requirement and is to distribute the dividend to the company. First one. And next one is that the management decides to dividend the payment, everything is the way of the payment, and everything is decided by the board of directors meeting of the company. Generally, board of directors meeting decides to provide to distribute the dividend in the company. Board of directors is because yes, instead of the reverse reinvesting, so instead of reinvesting the money, if the dividend is given sometime, the board of directors can decide that to profit बाट reinvest गर्ने कि लाभांश वितरण गर्ने भन्ने पनि board of directors निर्णय गर्न सक्छ. Whether the profit of the company, we should have to reinvest this money in the company, or we should have to distribute this dividend. They could also decide such kinds of things. So instead of the board of, yes, instead of the reinvestment of the profit, so yes, if the dividend is provided and distributed, it should be paid out to its shareholder. And such kinds of things, such kinds of issues and matters can be decided by the board of directors meeting of the company. Company board of directors meeting is and the board approves the planned dividend. Yes, planned dividend is only approved by the board, and the company announces the dividend. And last, the company announces to the dividend the value of the per share, the value of the per share, the value of the per share, how much, what is the value of the per share, as the how and the minimum rate, how much the minimum rate of the per share capital. So this value is only decided, announces by the company's board of directors meeting. So the value of the per share and date when it will be paid out, the date of the dividend when it will be paid out, and the record date. Record date means currently distributed. The record dates previously in the previous financial year and the ex financial year when it was distributed, and current date, record date, these are also decided by the board of. Record date refers to the existing date of distribution, that is record date. So that's why the date of the distribution, it will be decided by the board of directors meeting, and the value of the per share and the record date, all these things are generally decided by the board of directors meeting. Generally, board of directors meeting the dividend कहिले वितरण गर्ने, योभन्दा अघि कहिले डिस्ट्रिब्युट गरेको थियो, अब हामी कहिले गर्छौं, and त्यसको डिस्ट्रिब्युट गर्ने डिभिडेन्ड लाभांश per share को मूल्य, it is generally decided by the board of directors meeting. And lastly, yes, dividends is paid out to shareholder. Yes, lastly, dividends चाहिँ त्यसको shareholderलाई यसरी वितरण गरिन्छ. So that's why the rate of the per share and date when the share dividend of the per share will be paid out, and what is the record date. These things are generally decided by the board of directors meeting. Company को board of directors meeting ले share निर्णय गर्छ. And lastly, finally, the dividend is paid. So that's why everything, the concept regarding the dividend, so everything is generally expressed and steps, its rate, its date is determined by the board of directors meeting. Company को सञ्चालक समितिको बैठकले निर्णय गरेर dividend गर्ने सम्बन्धमा चाहिँ निर्णय गर्न सक्छ. And now it's the declaration of the dividend. How the dividends are declared. Okay. Yes. The declaration date is fixed by the board of directors meeting. कहिले declared गर्छौं. And ex-dividend date. Ex-dividend is when the dividends are distributed in a previous year. That we call as a ex-dividend date. भनेको योभन्दा अगाडि dividend कहिले वितरण गरेको छ त्यसलाई हेरिन्छ. And record date refers to कहिले अब हामी वितरण गर्छौं. That's record date usually occurs, it means the 3 business days after the ex-dividend date. It means that the ex-dividend date is the date on which the company officially determines to the shareholders record. अब officially अब कहिले वितरण गर्ने भनेर रेकर्डमा राखिन्छ भने that is record date. And the payment date when the dividend will be paid out. So that's why the record date, it means the payment date, and the record date and the ex-dividend date and declaration of the dividend and date of the distribution and payment of the dividend is actually determined by the board of directors meeting. So that's why the board of directors meeting declares the declaration date, record date, and ex-dividend date and payment date. All these things are actually determined by the board of directors meeting. You're saying board of directors meeting later. So under the regular policies of the company regarding the dividend, company generally distributes the lavamsa. Lavamsa is saying company को regular policy अंतर्गत उनीहरू they are generally dividend and they are distributed. And now last one is that it's dividend and it's share buyback. Whether the company has the right to buy back their share capital as the dividend or not. Company आफ्नो company को share बापतको dividend like yes, whether they have the right to buy back गर्न सक्छ कि सक्दैन. Yes, definitely we know that yes, company could buy back its share capital. Company आफ्नो share capital buy back गर्न सक्छ. This Company Act has allowed to the buyback of the company, whether the company's share capital is redeemable or not. It's dividend and it can be buyback in blood because dividend we provide to them as a share, as regarding the share is shareholder, and such a share can be redeemable in future or not. Such a share can be buyback by its company or not. It's a simple word. Its company can buy back. Company could buy back its share capital in future anytime. So that's why yes, dividend and share buyback. Share can be yes buyback by the company. So the share market and by doing the agreement with its shareholders. The share market by the shareholders and agreement with the company after share buyback. So that's why buyback refers to as dividend as provided to as a dividends बापतको कुनै share company को shareholder दिन्छ as a non-cash nature मा त्यस्तो share company redeem गर्न सक्छ buyback गर्न सक्छ भन्ने. So that's why it returns the cash to the shareholder. Definitely there is the two so important advantages to the shareholders. Definitely the shareholders generally through the open market the share of the company can be bought. Open market बाट company को share buyback गर्न सक्छ. So it returns cash to the shareholder. Shareholder के प्राप्त गर्छ? Yes, dividend बापतको share buyback गर्यो भने, share बिक्री गर्यो भने, yes, they get return as a cash and reduces the numbers of the shares outstanding. Numbers of the share outstanding गरेको share को नम्बरहरु चाहिँ घट्न सक्छ र उले share बिक्री गर्न सक्छ भन्ने. So that's why as a dividend बापतको share चाहिँ खरिद बिक्री गर्न सकिन्छ. It is transferable and buyback. यो चाहिँ buyback गर्न companyले अरूलाई transfer गर्न सक्छ. So that's why as a dividend, the nature of the share capital and dividend can be as well. So, owned by its owner in the company, yes, they can be buyback. उसले buyback गर्न सक्छ, उसले आफू अनुकूल transfer गर्न सक्छ, share market मा खरिद बिक्री गर्न सक्छ. So this is the buyback and the buyback and this is the nature of dividend is transferable and it can be tradable in a private and secondary market. The market मा tradable हुन्छ. The company पनि buyback गर्न सक्छ. त्यो चाहिँ dividend बाबतको share चाहिँ लिन सक्छ भन्छ. So interim dividend is that. Yes, in interim dividend and final dividend. Final dividend is generally it is the paid out. It is given generally after the finalization of the audit report within after own financial year. एउटा financial आर्थिक वर्ष समाप्त भइसकेपछि दिन्छ भने that is the final dividend. And interim dividend sometimes as a special dividend by deciding the company's board of directors meeting. If the dividend is given quarterly within a 6 months or in between the two annual general meeting. In between two annual general meeting refers to in every year the general meeting of the public companies should have to hold. प्रत्येक financial year मा company को साधारण सभा त बस्नु पर्छ. त्यस्तो अवस्थामा in between two annual general meeting if the dividend is given that we call as interim dividend. So that's interim dividend are generally given by deciding the interim dividend are generally given by, yes, interim dividends are generally given to a shareholder. Yes, interim dividend is given to a shareholder quarterly. It means within 6 months. That's we call as interim dividend. Actually, 6 months my company is go dividend लाभांश that we call interim. So that's why it is not compulsory. It has to be compulsory distributed. So that's why dividend originally the payment is given if the company is in dividend can be given, but in the company there may be the mitigated risk factor. There may be the numbers of the risk factor in future at the time the dividend is strongly not paid out. That we call as a dividend. So that's why interim dividend, final dividend, cash dividend, non-cash dividends, as dividend. So the different types of dividend are here. So as soon as लाभांश generally भने company प्रॉफिटबाट बाँकी रहेको रकम यसको शेयर प्रदान गरिन्छ भने that we call as a dividend. त्यसलाई हामी लाभांश भन्छौँ. Over here, indication of campaign is the annual topic. Wait for a while. I'll download attendance. So now, any question regarding dividend? लाभांशको बारेमा केही छ? रिटेन अर्निङ मा राखिसकेपछि सधैँ प्रत्येक वर्ष लाभांश वितरण गरिन्छ भन्ने हैन है. कम्पनीको सिचुएसन कन्डिसन हेरेर कम्पनी प्रॉफिटमा छ छैन त्यो अवस्था हेरेर मात्रै शेयर होल्डरले जनरली बोर्ड अफ डाइरेक्टरले निर्णय गरेर रिटेन अर्निङमा राखिन्छ. त्यो कहिलेकाहीँ डिभिडेन्ड दिएन भने त्यो रिटेन अर्निङमा राखे त्यसको ब्याकअपमा मनी राखिसकेपछि मात्रै जनरली द कम्पनी जनरली डिस्ट्रिब्युट्स इट्स डिभिडेन्ड. रिटेन अर्निङमा भनेको सञ्चित जगेडा रकममा ब्याकअपको रूपमा मनी राखिन्छ. त्यो ब्याकअपमा रूपमा राखिसकेपछि अनि त्यो रकमबाट चाहिँ जनरली इट डिस्ट्रिब्युट्स द डिभिडेन्ड अनि त्यसबाट चाहिँ डिभिडेन्डहरू वितरण गरिन्छ. सो द्याट्स वाइ इट इज भेरी इम्पोर्टेन्ट द्याट for the backup of the company, for the good health and good financial health of the company, the dividend, the profit of the company is reserved in a retained earning. Company को retained earning मा त्यसको रिजर्भ मा राखिन्छ. त्यो रिजर्भ मा किन राखिन्छ भने सञ्चित जगेडा भनेर एज अ ब्याकअप रूपमा राखिन्छ. So that's why such kinds of practice is generally doing in the company. यस्तो खालको practice generally company मा गरिराखेको हुन्छ. Okay, so this is all about the dividend. Your attendance is now downloaded here, and for today we'll say goodbye. See you next day. Have a nice time. Okay. Yes, goodbye to you all. As I like to hear.
Bye bye, sir.